What's up, YouTube family? Hey, this is Julian, and I want to welcome you guys and thank you guys at the same time for stopping by PB's Collectibles Corner. I kind of want to jump straight into this video, and actually, before I jump into the video, I do want to remind you guys, please hit the likes button, smash on that likes button, and not only that, if you feel interested enough, please join the channel. I have a lot of things coming up. It's not just about, collectibles and collecting, but it's also the production side of collecting. It's the, from all things that are art inclusive regarding, what makes a good statue and so on. Now, with that being said, I've been doing some videos regarding the collectibles industry, and for those of you specifically who want to start collecting, my videos have been about, what's a good entry point if you do not have the monies to buy the quarter scale, third scale, and so on. And this is something that I thought about when I was making the videos, because we go to events, conventions, and things like that, and we'll see the statues. And I remember when I first started collecting, many years ago, I wanted to get those quarter and third scale statues at the time, but I couldn't afford it. Being married, had a child, things like that. So for me, it was, how can I still do this and not go in debt? And with that in mind, that's what I did while making the previous two videos, because I want to show you guys a good entry point where you don't have to spend a lot of money. You don't have to, go in debt getting statues. And so if you guys have looked at the two previous videos, in the very first video, I showed you some statues from the very smallest to some pretty large scale ones, but each scale was under $100. And the emphasis was being economical, with your purchasing, and at the same time, looking at the quality, because, you think, or people may think that, oh, well, you got these small ones that they didn't cost much, or more importantly, they'll say, well, hey, that the quality is diminished. And that's not the case by any means. The way we are, or where we are today in technology, they're making some really nice statues that are small and affordable. And last week, or the previous video, I showed you guys my Weta Mini Epic collection. And today, I want to show you guys my Riot Games League of Legends collection. And with the Mini Epics, I think I have like 16 of those. And with these, I have 12. And I'm going to get more. And right now, as I've explained to you guys, just to be transparent, I've been living in California for the past 23 years. I've had to relocate back to Michigan, help my mom and, things like that. So my budget has dropped drastically. But at the same time, I'm at a place where, because of the way that I collect, I have been able to, pretty much stay on top of my collecting without going into debt. And so with that being said, I'm going to show you guys what I have with my League of Legends statues. And I'm going to just show you the collection as a whole in the boxes. And then I'm going to pull them out, and maybe we could look at 3 or 4 of them. And we could do some comparison. And again, looking at the quality, looking at the material, and looking at, just, in my personal opinion, I think this is an amazing collection of statues that Riot Games has put together. So give me a second, and we'll take care of that, and I'll show you the statues. Okay, so here we go with the League of Legends statues. This is my collection for now, and I definitely plan to increase these statues. Like I said, me personally, I enjoy them a lot. And just like my Weta Mini Epic statues, these are, for me, affordable. And the cool thing about this now, let me explain this to you guys. League of Legends, the Riot Games company, they have statues that range from, $35, $30, as high as almost $1,000. And I personally really like these statues, and they hit that price point that I was telling you guys about. These are on average $75. The one on the bottom row, the Braum Unlocked, I think Braum was $85 because he's a little larger than the other characters. But as I said, these are some great statues. And I just wanted to show you, excuse me, I'm sorry. I wanted to show you guys the collection overall. And now I want to take some of them out and let you guys see. I'll probably take out 4. And for those of you who are into video games, I'm a huge gamer, love fighting games. Riot Games has a game out called 2XKO fighting game. And as you can see, I have some of the characters from the fighting game, of which I'll pull those out. And that's Ari, Braum, and Jinx, and Echo. But because I've already done the open box of Echo, I'm not going to show him. I'm going to show one of my other favorite ones, which is the top row, far left, Lee Sin. So I'm going to show you guys Braum, Ari, Jinx, and Lee Sin. All right, give me a second, and I'll be right back with you guys. Okay, all right, Facebook family, we are back, and I have the statues out. And what I'm going to do is just pan across these quickly, and then we'll talk about them a little bit more in depth. Excuse me. And again, let's look at the quality. You know, for $75, the $75 quality match something larger, you know. And what I want you to see, I'm going to zoom in on some of these, right? So this was the very first statue, the very first Riot Games statue that I bought, Lee Sin. When I saw it, you know, I was like, yo, that's a pretty dope looking character. But man, when I pulled him out of the box, I was like, yo, that statue is really dope. And not only that, again, you know, zooming in here on the details of the face, the muscularity, the anatomy, the sculpt, you know, I love this hairpiece thing here, you know, just an awesome statue. And again, to me, you know, the quality does not depreciate because I'm spending less. You know, one thing I love about Riot Games is the time that they put into not just the designs of their characters, but, you know, the attention to detail. They're making sure that these characters match, you know, how the characters look in the game. And not only how they look in the game, but the quality of the statues, you know, while they're translating from, you know, a video game image to a 3D statue. And so it's the same thing here. Jinx is, you know, one of my favorite characters, as she is many people, you know. And I just absolutely enjoy looking at these statues. And again, you're talking about something that is $75. Now, is this polystone the material? No, it's not. Some of these, they don't feel like vinyl, so I assume there's some type of resin. And, you know, forgive me for having to turn this with my hand. I keep forgetting to bring up my my little thing that rotates the statues. But in any event, you know, from the back to the front to the middle to the sides, you know, the detail of the characters and everything is there. You know, this looks exactly like the character. And for those of you that are into animation and watch animation, if you've watched the series Arcane, this is that character. So they've done a great job in translating their characters. And this is the character Ari from the fighting game. You know, let's zoom in on her face. I'm holding the camera in my hand, so trying to This is my first time using the camera. I've watched videos and, you know, you can, oh, okay, yeah, I could do that, blah, blah, blah. But then sometimes you forget when you're actually trying to use it. But in any event, this is the character Ari. The details on the statue, you know, let's look at this. You know, like the nine-tailed fox. This is just I mean, they are doing an amazing job with these statues to me. And like I said, this would be a great entry point for those of you that can afford it, that want to get into, statue collecting. You know, if you like this kind of stuff, because it's not just these. I'm just showing you the ones that I collect in my collection that are, you know, have this good price point. And like I said, with things changing for me, you know, professionally, and, you know, what's going on in the economy, you know, I can't spend the way that I was spending before. You know, when I was working, you know, hey man, I'd buy 2-3 statues, you know, at a time. And, you know, it was cool. But you can't do that now, or I can't do that now. And so with that in mind, you know, do I stop collecting? No. For me personally, because like I told you guys in the very first video, I collect what I like. You know, I'm not just restricting myself to, you know, quarter scale, although I have a good amount of quarter scale statues. And let's see, let's key in on some things here. Look at this. This is the back of Brahm. You know, and for those of you that are into 2XKO, this is the shield that he fights with. Let's look at some other details. Let's look at, you know, the his waistband or belt or whatever you want to call it. You know, get his face. And this little guy here. Just some overall great statues. Now, if you remember when I showed you guys the all the boxes stacked, right? That was 12 statues all together. And my phone would have to ring, the house phone, but I'll let that go. So anyway, with that being, let me stand up here a little bit. Just look at this. Again, the detail on these statues. Nothing is missing. Although they're smaller, the quality, let's look at the face here. I want to zoom in where it gets blurred. Let's look at Lee Sin. Let's go over here. Look at Ari. And let's look at Brahm again. So I'm going to pull it back a little bit. Now just imagine if you had a wall of these statues. You know, everyone gets impressed, you know, with the size, and you have a bunch, you know, a nice amount of larger statues. But what if you have a wall of these, and say, for instance, like, you know, we got this little cubby thing that we keep drinks in for my mom, right? So say, for instance, I take those out and you buy a white one, because you can get those in white. And in this, if you want to have the space and make it look nice, you can fit 2 to 3 of these statues per cubby, right? And, you know, if that was white, that would look great. It would look great. And in fact, let me see if I can do something real quick without messing up. So now, gonna have to use your imagination on what I'm about to do here. So I'm gonna put Ari down here. Now, because of the size of her, she fits singularly into this cubby, right? So if you can, that's the size of the cubby. I forget how big these things are all together. But say for instance, if this was white, and you put your statues in there, some of them you could get 2 per cubby hole or per cubby square. That would look really good. It really would. That would look good. If we take Brahm, let's see, put Brahm in here. The lighting is bad. Of course, you guys know how to do it with the collecting. Get your lights put in there. Brahm holds 1. And then don't forget, so say for instance, I'm in my back room and this cubby is 4x2, right? 4x2 meaning 4 squares across, 2 from top to bottom. Now those go as high as I think they go as high as like 5 or so, and you could go 5 high. Now imagine that cubby, it was white, and you had your statues in it. Man, that would look really nice. Not to mention, and this is something that I think is key, and I was saving this for last. Mind you, these are $75 per statue. I have 12, right? And the total cost of having 12 statues of this size was only $825. That's how much 1/4 scale statue is now. And with that in mind, to me, hey, that's not necessarily a comparison, really, to be honest with you. But again, it depends on what you like, what you want to collect, and what you're trying to collect, and what you're trying to build in your collection. So let me grab this. Got to be careful, so I definitely don't want to break it. This is one of my favorite ones. Some of these do, like this Ari statue has a good amount of weight to it too. For those of you that, it doesn't feel like a statue. Yeah, some of these have some good weight to them. So, and on average, I pulled my ruler out. They are averaging, let's see, Brahm is standing 11 inches or 11 1/8 of an inch tall. At the highest point on Ari, which would be this tail back here, let's say 10 3/4 on that. It's kind of awkward right now with me standing and holding this, and let's go to the highest point, which would be the nose. As you guys can see, that's what, like, just say 11 inches on that. And then the highest point on Lee Sin is his ponytail, a little over 10 inches. And, like I said, guys, this is a great way to get you a nice entry point, into your collection. And they're very, very nice. You're looking at this through a video. I want to tell you guys that, man, I've had my stuff laid out when I was back in California, and I loved my collection. I loved how I had them arranged. And, like I said, you guys, you don't have to spend a lot of money to enjoy the collection, or getting into collecting. And so with that being said, I'm going to wrap this video up. Give me 1 second, and we'll take this or bring this to a close. Give me 1 second. Okay, so as we bring this video to a close, and not just this video, as we bring, this whole discussion on entering into the collecting, hobby, I'm going to bring this to a close. And first and foremost, I want to thank you guys for those of you who have supported the channel. And again, please hit the likes button, share the video, join the channel, This is something that I thoroughly enjoy doing. I love collecting, and I love, the art that goes into collecting. And being an artist, of course, it's something that's very relaxing too. Sometimes we go through different things in life, and I'll be honest with you. And I'm going to share this quick story with you. back after COVID, everything was shutting down. And I was blessed actually during that time although things were shutting down during COVID, I was able still to work. And I was working at an animation studio. And, things were going well. Then, of course, eventually, we all got laid off. And there were times, it was challenging finding work. Man, I had my savings and my savings was diminishing. You're going to go through a whole bunch of things. But what I want to say about this is that, people laugh and say, oh, well, that's his man cave and, blah, blah, blah. And it's kind of like we joke about it. But you guys will be surprised how relaxing it is when you're going through different things in life and you're going through different tests and challenges and trials and whether you're married or single, and you got that space that you can go into that's yours, and you look around and you have your statues, your comics, or whatever it is you may collect. I know there are sports guys who collect sports memorabilia. When you go into your space that is specifically yours and the things that you enjoy doing, and you look around your room and you're like, yo, it's mine and it's dope and I feel relaxed and I'm in chill mode. It does something for you, not just to you. It does something for you. It doesn't necessarily change your circumstance or your situation. Hey, if you're unemployed like I was, you still have to, look. And even if you are where I am right now, right, I have to relocate. I'm back in Detroit and there is no industry here, as far as what I do. And as I'm looking for work, there are very few studios that allow you to work remotely, right? So I have to improvise and I have to do what I can to keep an income coming in. And thankfully for me, I have an amazing wife who is filling in that void for now, and, but it's just something that I would encourage you. If this is what you want to do, do it, be wise in your collecting. Don't spend a lot of money. You don't have to break the bank to enjoy it. But I just want you guys to see that there are options outside of, the quarter scale, the third scale. And from what I've seen online, no one has done what I'm trying to do, with regard to, hey, here's a good entry point. Let's talk about collecting and, how much does it cost? Let's spend it out. There have been people that talked about it, but they talk about specifically, quarter scale, third scale, what have you. I'm talking about specifically the hobby of collecting. So with that in mind, and with that being said, like I said, for 12 statues, you're talking about under $900. That's the price of a good quarter scale sideshow PCS statue right now. And the third scales, of course, are even more than that. So it's up to you. But I just wanted to introduce you to, another side of the statue collecting hobby, especially for those of us that like comics and toys and video games and all of that. Here's another side of the collecting that you don't have to break the bank. So thank you guys for being in attendance. Thank you guys for taking the time to stop by the channel. Again, please don't forget to smash that likes button, share the video, join the channel, and I have more in store coming up. All right, you guys have a blessed day. Today is Saturday. Good weekend. We're going to go bowling today, and I'll see you guys on the next video. Take care.